Happy Friday, everyone. It is Friday, September the 20th, 2024. We made it through the week. Some good price action today, some interesting moves we will take a look at, international moves. I made moves last night. Went to a show last night. Saw Seven Dust in New York City. I'm very tired today. I got home very late. So if I'm a little bit behind and a little bit slow, that is why. Okay, so let's get to it. Before, without further ado, boopity boopity bop. Let me show you the screen and what happened today. Okay, so today, Brazil, Europe, and Biotechs fall, while utilities, India, and gold all soared to new all-time highs. So it's a very interesting rotation, things that's going on underneath. We'll take a look at the charts. And this week, when all said and done, this full week that we had was characterized by the largest absolute moves, was these roughly 6% advances, 5 to 7%. To be exact, there in the range of uranium, nat gas, and Bitcoin. Interesting, the investment going towards that. Uranium had been failing. It needs to recover. Nat gas is a big-time loser. I entered a nat gas October put spread yesterday. It has not been doing well because it's been, nat gas is up 6% in the past week. I still think it'll be a decent position. I am in the Octobers, as I said, the 14-12 put spread. So I buy the 14s and I sell the 12 against it. And I also bought Japan yesterday, 2 days ago, rather. I'm not sure if I said that on the show. And then I'm also long healthcare. Japan, great performance so far. That was one of the top 5 performing markets after the Fed cut yesterday, and that's doing very well. And then healthcare, I don't think it's going to be a love group right now, but it's something I want to get in as well. And this is a longer trade. I believe those are December. Let me check the duration for those actually. So the healthcare XLV, I'm in a December 160 call, and I sold the next week 159 call against it. So I like that spread. I did that for 274. And then nat gas, I did like I already said, the 14-12 put spread, did that for 60 cents. And then the EWJs, I'm in the December 70 calls, and I sold the next month 75 calls against it. And I did that for about 260. All right, so I really like the way the portfolio is looking. We'll talk about home construction. That looks like a miss. We'll see if I can get in. And then, so trades of the week, uranium, nat gas, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin had to recover too, right? So I was trying to break this down. Uranium underperformed, has to recover. Nat gas, a piece of crap. And it had a big week. And Bitcoin also up against some pressure here, had to perform. And dollars rotated into these areas that needed help, right? So we always got to pay attention to that. Utilities, Indian gold. Utilities, of course, tied to yields. And today was a big news story. Constellation, the whole 3 Mile power plant, all that. Stock was up 20%, pushing the entire index up. And utilities had already been on fire. So big move today in the utilities. We'll take a look at that. That's a regular 2.5% move, but that's because one of the major constituents was up 15 to 20%. And in India and gold continue to go. I wish I could play India. That's another one I want to get in. I was happy I got Japan, so I got some international exposure. India would be a great one, and gold just continues to go, especially as the Fed continues to cut in the cycle into 2026. Stay long markets, and gold's probably a good trade as well. All right, so pretty good. All right, so let's take a look at the markets here. We'll go to the intraday screen. That's me, very tired. Got him very late, but Seven Dust, great show. Concerts are the best. Always say yes. All right, so here is the intraday chart. So here is the opening bell. Then we continues to sell off here. And then we hit a low at 11 a.m. and then nicely recovered here back around noontime. As you can see, we held VWAP. And then an ugly, at 2 o'clock, we faltered beneath and then got back above to close right above VWAP to be down, marginally 15 bips. The IWM had a lot worse today, down 1%. We'll look at the moves that really were larger in the momentum today. But anyways, we are continuing to be, just as I zoom out on the SPY, still expecting this to be in accumulation mode through on or around September 25th, which last I checked is in the middle of next week, Wednesday to be exact. So again, target around 575, 576. I could see us making new all-time highs again into next week. and getting right to about there where my cursor is, but pretty much inside, just where the Bollinger Bands, where the volatility bands are headed. So beautiful looking chart. Today down, 15 bips, totally digestion, and we'll take a look at what happened underneath. So again, target of around 576 or so by Wednesday. That would be 8 points or 1.5% or so. All right, so that is the larger picture. Let's get into big moves today. So let's take a look at the XLU. A lot of people are talking about it, as they should be. Major mover, new all-time high today, up 2.6%. That's a massive move for utilities. These guys are finding money, investor dollars, though. This looks like it's a great surge. Look at that candle. It doesn't tell me it's done, although if you look under the hood, like I said, there's a news story tied to this, but the momentum has, the group has great momentum. This is a absolutely wonderful chart. And it's crushing a lot of other assets year to date. So utilities, it's trading great and it's up and coming. You wouldn't think it. I mean, just typically in terms of asset return, you want to always buy Meta and consumer discretionary and high flyers, but this is a great, has been a great trade. It opened the year at $63, so move to 80 is magnificent. But all that being said, so my target this for right here is right around the 79 level. So this looks a little bit extended to me. As I said before, almost similar to treasuries. This typically does not close outside the Bollinger Band very regularly, and it's had several entries this week. Of course, don't want to get in the way. There's no resistance here right now, but my target is 79, and I see this being distributed down to about $77. So expect some falls here, kind of like you just had here the other day. It went from 79 to 77 in 2 days. So it's definitely possible. And I see this going to about 77 over the next 2 weeks. So great trade on utilities. Not going to stand in front of that and get run over, but I think they'll sell it in the next 2 weeks. Okay, next. India. So this one also a new all-time high today. Let's take a look. So a great chart. Wanted to get long this. Not really setting up. It's peaking here, similar to the other chart. This is almost never. This is even less volatile than utilities. It just never closed outside the Bollinger balance or something absolutely magnificent. So you can see here it was the highest volume in India for the past year. June 4th, I think they had an election. You can see what happened to the stock in 1 day from 55 to 50 to 51. So almost 10% in 1 day I remember that. But yeah, great chart, rising 200 day, absolutely stellar. This looks like it's peaking at my target, similar to what we had in utilities. Great trend, but as I said, it's kind of equally valued or fairly valued to me at that level target. Here, my target's 58.30, right around here. So don't want to chase here. I think this is going to have probably a little bit more momentum, not a ton more. And then over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I see this getting sold off to about 57.5, right around there, this cluster of moving averages. So interesting always when you have this to see what thesis. I just come into this, of course, objectively and just look at the chart. So we're saying utilities ran a bunch. It's going to sell off, we think, over the next couple of weeks. India, same thing. Let's take a look at gold. Excuse me. I was just screaming for rock lyrics all night last night. And what was the drink of choice? I don't remember. I think it was a beer and shot. That's irrelevant here. Okay, so the so gold looks absolutely great. Similar, again, my target for this is right around 240, so it's a little bit extended. This is more volatile. You can see several closes. People chase this trade. They get to chase it for quite a while, from March 4th through April 22nd. It was basically overbought, minus this cluster here where it based, and then it broke out higher. But great looking chart here. New all-time highs. What can you say? My target's 240. Probably more momentum ahead of it. I probably got some expansion, maybe get to the new 245 near-term target. After that, I do see a little bit of distribution, as is typical in gold, and it probably takes you to about 235, which would be the old August highs. So I'm not going to get into this because we have a lot of charts to go through, but the new highs are the previous, or the new lows are the previous highs, right? So you can see that, and gold's trading very well with this. Of course, it's not earnings related or something like that. So a nice one, stay long. This trade really, I hate trading gold. Just it's difficult, especially in options. You really have to pick the score, who's the MVP, what's going to be the over under, and when's the first score scored when you do options on gold. It seems that's good options period. But this trade really, if you got in, I'm just looking November, awesome job if you got into that and stayed long, as well as February, because kind of did nothing. February is better because you got in right before, but of course, hindsight is 2020. But what you could have used right here is when it entered this overbought period and it broke out. That's powerful because there was a line of buyers and they're saying, we all agree essentially that this is worth at least 193. It's going higher. It's like a trampoline. So I will even try to observe that much more powerfully the next time. But if you enter overbought and then you get a breakout in terms of price level, that's very powerful. So we'll see if you get, overbought here. We don't have it quite yet. And then, a breakout over the past level 240, that could be a reasonable entry meaning as well. Hard to find the words today. Okay, net gas. So I entered a short, and of course, what did it do? It absolutely ripped, right? So let's take a look. It's up 5% today. I shorted yesterday, as I said. This is an October spread, so it's down today. So here's the deal. We said before, wonderfully, if you got to 1690, that would be so easy to short it there. It wasn't that easy. I took this signal as it trying to break basically at 15, and I was targeting very close to that level. I forget the exact, I have it written down, the exact spot level where I got executed, but my absolute upper target was about 15.30, 15 half, and look how stable it was. There's been nothing happening in that gas in terms of volatility since August 12th. It's kind of crazy. 5 weeks of really nothing between 15.15 and 12.60, which is not a horrendous range for net gas. All that being said, over the next 2 weeks, I think this is going to sell off to about 14.25. So that would be a nice move lower of about $1.10. So, that's a pretty decent move, 7-8%. And that is for 2 weeks from now. So that would take us to about, October the 4th. And I am long October 14 puts. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I still have some time, then I'll sell the leg against it. So we'll see. Nat gas can work properly this trade. I need it to fall pretty quickly. We'll see if it happens. They are rotating into this trash. I do think it'll come lower towards that 14 quarter level in the next 2 weeks or so. But definitely a strong day today. And it's up against that resistance going back all the way to July 12th, So very interesting to see if it breaks above this, and holds for real above this 15 quarter. It technically did it today. We'll say for the next week. But that gas has much more to prove to me than that. So I'm still comfortable with the position. Oh, man, I'm rambling. All right, and then uranium. So this is interesting. We had this on the countdown clock, I believe, in terms of it having to save itself. So ugly chart here in terms of it rolling over now, the 200 moving average. Don't like to go long and stuff like this. Kind of looks like an overbought sell signal. Nice day today, 4% into resistance levels. This is, really difficult to get above 27.50. Hasn't been able to do it since, the month of July, coming off of oversold conditions. This might have a little bit more to go in terms of the bullishness, but not much further past 27.5. And after that, I do think it'll be sold off to about 25.30 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that could be a nice move. Okay, so it was the big movers today. Okay, so they bought utilities, India, gold, nat gas, and uranium. They sent utilities in India to new all-time highs. What did they sell? Brazil was absolutely getting shellacked today. Brazil down almost 3.1%. Let's take a look at the charts. I thought this might have a little bit more bullishness. It's got meaningful resistance at around this 29.70 level. So actually, I'll raise it. Well, that's much higher here. They're raising 200-day moving average. I was going off of a calculated 21-day exponential moving average, which is 29.70. And it really hasn't had many closes above 29.70 with a falling 200 moving average. So this might have a nice day, a mean reverting day towards that 29.70 number, maybe towards 30. But after that, I think it's going to move back down towards this 29.70 level. So I know I'm repeating that. Sounds like several times, but very important number, cluster of numbers and averages there, about 50 cents higher from where we are, or about 1.5%. So I think you might get a decent mean reversion pop in this to move towards, that move, like I said, 2% or so higher. And then that's what I'm expecting for the next week. We'll see. But ugly candles today, they really sold it off. A lot of Brazilian companies under the hood were down much, much more than 3%. Okay, VGK. So Europe got hit hard today. Europe is down 1.5%. Let's look at this. We haven't looked at the straight up Europe chart actually since I wrote about it in Chart Advisor, I believe, last month. So a bad day today. It fell to its 21-day exponential moving average. So nothing absolutely crazy or oversold, anything like that. I think this will actually have a nice move up and try to make a move towards 71.75. And that would push it to, I'm not sure if it's all-time highs, but it would be new 52-week highs. And you get some vol expansion right about there. So I actually like this. If it could stomach, some volatility potentially on Monday. Not a great looking candle today. So it could go a little bit lower, but I do like this bouncing to 71.75 or so over the next 1 to 2 weeks. Interesting. So this is what we're here for. We get all kinds of trades ideas. Europe, whatever. No. All right. Biotechs, IBB. They sold it off pretty hard today. 1%, not massive. They didn't sell a ton, but look at this, coming off 52-week highs yesterday. I mean, come on. Like we said, trees don't grow to the sky. Let's see now what. You might have a little bit more bullishness. We'll see if this reverses the bullish trend it's had, but I think it might. Excuse me. Try to make one more move towards that one. Excuse me. 151. Need some water. I think it could make possibly new all-time highs. The momentum is strong in the market. Just small digestion days. So this looks decent. I think, like I said, it might make one more flush, but after that, it will settle back towards just 147 level. So it's hard to predict like a jerk move and then where it settles. But I think a little bit potentially more exuberance in this, and then mean reversion lower. Hold on, let me take a sip as you look at that beautiful chart. Speaking of beautiful chart, next one's ITB. I think we missed this one. We had written down on my sheet, I said buy it September the 12th. So just a little bit thing about trading risk management. Look at September 12th's candle. It's right here. Exactly what you want to, because you analyzed this day, the 11th, and you saw the sellers, the buyers rejected it, and they said, no, it's not worth that low. And it got here, and that should have been the signal to, especially with when I wrote Nostradamus or whatever on my paper by September 12th, beautiful candle, exactly what you want. And then you had a couple of chances. You could have bought the ultimate breakout. Just that would have been an easy trade. Not much more juice in it, though, if you purchased at 124.60 and we're at 125.60. So now what do we do as it's extended? So unfortunately, I'm not going to chase it here. This probably might have a zig and zag. This is moving with rates. This might have another move towards 128, within a rock's throw of its all-time highs next week or so. We'll see if it gets reversed. Otherwise, I think this does come down to 121. I think it does over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that's going to be my entry. All right. So excited to get into home construction. I think that's what my portfolio is missing. You got to have that big secular, that massive trade that's been working in the past year. I've had bits and pieces, but this would be the really great exposure and the one I want. And that is the big down move today. So they sold Brazil, Europe, biotech, and home construction. So if you were in those groups, you might have felt a bit of pain today. All right, top 5 gainers of the past 5 days. No repeating charts. Uranium, the best mover, the best gainer of the past 5 days, up 7%. So congrats. Number 2, best gainer, nat gas, up 6%. So, good return there for nat gas. I'm on the other side of that trade. Hopefully it reverses. Third best trade, IBIT. So Bitcoin up 5.5% this past week. It needed to do it. Let's take a look. Boopity boopity bop, which we all know is a finance term. Okay, so here is down 0.5%. My voice really cracked. Down 0.5% today. Again, for this specific ETF, this was struck back in March. Okay, this might have a little bit more to go. We'll see how it trades in the weekend. Always very important. This could make another move towards 37. I don't think it's unheard of. I think it can try and make a move towards 37, but then I think that might be it, and then a flush towards 34. So because we always like to see it in these terms, so here is Bitcoin. I think you can make a little bit of a move back towards these highs, maybe past 66 by next week. Probably not expecting much more than that, and then I don't think it's not to expect to move back down to around 60K or so, touch lower than where we are potentially, but we should hold this. So again, on the countdown clock where we started here, That is an oopsie, absolutely recovered it, superstar behavior. And then here, it had it for, about a week or so, and then now we're back again. So the clock is nothing here. So Bitcoin has recovered. Nice job. You do want to see, this is going to start to really stabilize. The 200-day moving average, it's stuck right now at 59K even. You want to see this start to take off, but you don't like to see these lower highs. So really a break and hold above 65K would do wonders for this chart, but it's not there yet. All right, so Bitcoin, though, a nice week at 5.5%. Let's look at the next best gainer this week was KWeb. KWeb up 5.3%. Let's see what's it's in favor. We talked about this as well. So this is hitting resistance. It had down almost 0.5% today. Heavy resistance right around this 27 level. Also corresponding with the 200-day moving average is right there at 26.79. We'll just call it 26.80. It's like flat, and it's trying to get there right as we speak. So we'll see how long it can go. I think this is going to hit resistance right here, right around 27 bucks, and you're going to see a sell-off to about 25.80 over the next 2 weeks or so. So not enough juice in it for me, but that's what I'm seeing for KWeb. Next, in the XOP. So they piled into, old underperformers. XOP has looked awful, really looked awful. We said you're going to get a mean reversion bump. It's good for 5% this week. You can see here the 52-week lows struck by this group on 9/11, and a nice move higher. Let's see what is in more to go. Actually, I think this has more bullishness to go and tries to 140. If it's a superstar, it's going to try and recover that 142. I don't think it does. So 140, 141, I think is where this wants to go over the next week or two. That's good for $5-6. If you trade options, that's not a horrendous move. The implied vol is probably going to be pretty high on these. Like I said, loser behavior being oversold here in August, and then again on 9/11 down to new lows. So not really a great group, but sometimes people flock into this group as this subsector. So yeah, that's what we see for XOP. But a nice day, up 5%, best for the fifth best mover this week. All right, best losers on the short side. Okay, so not a ton, but they're actually entries. So VXX was down not a ton, 3% this week. This is interesting. I thought this was going to fall off much more, but it is due to just a brand new Fed cycle. They're cutting. It kind of it's not just supposed to give you warm fuzzies. They're doing it for a jolt, a shock to help stimulate the market. I think it's giving and of course how bonds are reacting is they're thinking it's inflationary, and we'll see what happens with real estate. And then, of course, what happened this week after, in the brilliant fixed income market, and I really do mean that, bonds were up after they cut. But obviously, it has to deal with the duration. Anyway, all that being said, we are in a elevated environment, and not super. You have, I'm looking at the VXX here at 47. We've been calling for new 52-week lows in this. You need 40 on that. So I think this could have a little bit more downside. Here is down to 60 bips, so pretty much unchanged. But I think this tries to go towards 41 over the next week or so. If it doesn't, that's going to be a tell to me that we're, in a more sticky, volatile environment. It's interesting here. The support on VXX is 44, and we've been living there since July. So even before the Japan crash, we've been in this kind of volatility environment. And then look at the 200-day moving average falling at 53. We'll call it $53. So still trending lower volatility. So I see this being distributed for a bit much more, but not quite as liquidation as I would have thought with new all-time highs in the market. What's telling me? Just people are still positioned for downside. I wouldn't say they're super complacent, but yeah, volatility and specifically put pricing is still, a little bit more or as elevated as it's been for, a month and a half. Okay, Brazil, we already looked at that chart, but that was the second biggest loser, down to 1.5% this week, equal to TLT. So we'll take a look at TLT. We're just talking about bonds, so that is very timely. So again, price got hit, sold off, meaning yields went higher. So, and of course, they cut 50 bips this week, right? But that's the shorter term rate. So let's take a look at the TLT chart. We talked about this before, and we said we expect rates to increase in the next, short term. Let's see. So yeah, exactly right. So TLT, just because of this fall today, is whoops. Let me get that out of the cursor. Hit new 52-week highs on September 17th, just 3 days ago, right? And now you see big mean reversion. It's basically just trading on its 21-day exponential moving average. Nothing crazy. I think you're going to see the sell off down to about $97. So not a massive move, but a good move lower towards, at most, like I said, $97 over the next 2 weeks or so. Again, so a $2 move in TLT, price moves lower, yields would go higher. All righty, we'll see how the market deals with that. XLP also, so these things trade similarly. The bonds, staples, right, defensives. So staples, same exact situation almost. September 16th was their high instead of 17th for TLT. I'm guessing. Let me take a look at the chart here. So this actually looks. So this is not. I'm not seeing distribution for the next like 2 weeks like I am in TLT. A little bit different read here. This looks like it's based, and now you're becoming an oversold buy here at the 21-day exponential moving average level, which is 82.60. So I do love that. I'll look for this one next week. It was up 50 bips today. This is not too shabby here. I want to see how it trades on Monday. And if you can get in around 82.60, you can trade this with a target of 85, which would be a new 52-week high on the group. And you'd get paid on this in a nice spread. So maybe a December, I don't know, like an 85, and you sell the October 85s. But that looks like an interesting one. I'm going to write that down. That's, again, something that's missing in the portfolio. I don't own boring, stuff like that. Staples, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, but these things are moving, getting love in the market. And as we say, it's always, when trading, it's more important to make money than it is to be right. Okay, so that's XLP down 1.3, and XLRE. You're going to have a similar chart, of course, like we did for ITB. So let's take a look at this. A lot of people trying to get in this line too for real estate. So this, I think, is going to, similar with rates going up for the short term, 1 to 2 weeks. I think this is going to be distributed. First stop for XLRE will go to $44 even. And then after, I think if they really start to flush it and the curve starts freaking people out in terms of if they can truly get lower loans, for builders and such, I think this can go all the way down to 43. All right, right about there. And then at which point, yeah, you'd have to buy it, but that's still 1 to 2 weeks away. So mixed pictures from the market, not as simple overall. Like I said in the SPY, probably like maybe another couple of days of exuberance to take us towards that 575 level, and then mean reversion level. So mixed under the hood though, and when you look at all the different classes that we did. And okay, so top 3 absolute trades of the best past 5 days: uranium up 7%, nat gas up 6%. IBIT or Bitcoin up 5.5%, and the top 3 absolute trades of the past 52 weeks. I'm not going to put up the charts because we've talked about a lot of these, but still number 1, long Bitcoin at plus 158% year over year. Long semiconductors, number 2 at long 66%, and long home builders at plus 57%. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about getting in a real estate trade, because then I have obviously I have the Bitcoin, I have NVIDIA holding from semiconductors, and then I can do get at this XHB, and I just really like how it sets up on different time frames and my exposure. All right, I think that is it. I am pooped, and you guys have an awesome weekend. We'll see you later.